proper intro. How's it going? Welcome to another edition of Thursday's Weekly Aksys Stream. My name is Sammy. Obviously, things are different this time around because we are live in person and with none other than Hanley.
Me. Thank you. Thanks for having me here for the Norn9 Var Commons Switch launch day. I'm very excited.
You want to just move the camera like in front of...
Can we do that?
Yes, we can. Okay. All right. Thank you guys for joining us. I really appreciate it. It is actually, can you believe it? Before all of this talk, it is the launch day of Norn9 Var Commons.
Yay.
It is wonderful. Yeah, I'm so excited because honestly, I've just like have heard about this game for so long, and now it's like here. Yeah.
Now you can finally play it.
Now I can finally play it.
On a console that people own.
On a console that is accessible. Yes. I don't have to track down like some black market merchant for this right now. You know? That's great.
Yeah, it's really great. And with, of course, the updated localization, which I worked on.
What?
This is the first you're hearing it, I see. We never
My Ann worked on Norn? Oh my god. Oh man. So yes, we and you did work on Norn9. I was gonna go on to it a little bit, but I want you to give yourself like a proper introduction for the one person in chat who doesn't know who she is, but now you'll know. This is our this is your Lord and Savior, so this, you know, you get introduced.
Don't overhype me. Thank you. Yeah, if you haven't seen me before in a stream or online, I'm Ann, aka Apricot Sushi. I run the website chick-pixel.com. Work with Aksys on occasion. I did proofreading for Paradigm Paradox. That came out, I think, last October or so last year.
Paradox? Yeah. Came out October, September last year, 2022.
Yeah. So that was my first game working in the localization with Aksys. And then, you brought me on to do the updated localization of Norn9 Var Commons for Switch. So released on Vita, and we've gone through and overhauled the whole script. There are no more infamous snow errors, which some folks have mentioned in the chat, but also some other tweaks and just polishing was done to the script. And I also worked on Last Era, which is coming out, I believe. So that's
very soon.
That's the fan disc, and that's the first time the fan disc will be out in English. But I worked on both projects so that we can make sure that all the terminology and character voices and all of that are, streamlined and seamless between the two games, so you get the best experience possible. Really hope you all enjoy it, and thank you everyone for the shirt comments. I'm glad you like it. This is my favorite shirt.
This is not the first shirt comment either. It's good.
Thank you.
They were all there while we were setting up.
Oh, great. Thank you.
So, yes, in a slightly interviewee fashion, I wanted to ask you a little bit more about that specifically your work between the two games, because I said this when we did the launch stream with Marcus, or sorry, the All Aksys stream with Marcus, that I thought one of the things that's really cool about translating it now is that I feel like in general, people, our translators, are better at their craft than they used to be. We know more about how to translate Japanese to English because it is very difficult. It is one of the harder leaps in language. And how did you feel working from Var Commons to Last Era? Like, was that, I don't know how many times you've worked on like two projects at the same time, essentially, right? Because you essentially worked Var Commons for Last Era, essentially.
Yes. Well, that's my first time doing something like this, having kind of two simultaneous connected projects. So that was really interesting and different to do. But I certainly noticed that the team that's working on Last Era was like really solid. They were just a joy to work with. So I had translators and editors doing Last Era, and then I was sort of proofreading and doing fact checking, and I kind of became like the Norn9 Wikipedia. So if anyone had a question about something, they would come to me and be like, "Ann, we don't understand. What's this reference? Like, what does here's one. Does Masamune have 1 or 2 gloves? Because if you're just looking at the text and you haven't seen an image of his full body, you don't necessarily know whether he has 1 or 2 gloves. And in Japanese, there's no plural. So when they talk about a glove,
That's
it's like,
so
is he taking
funny.
off both gloves? Is he
Right.
only taking off 1 glove? So, you know, we have things like that where I'd be like, well, you
I
know,
never thought about
yeah,
that.
a lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was very cool, and I think the team was really great on Last Era, but it was helpful for me to be there to provide additional context and make sure, you know, like things like terms, you know, are so we use the term Esper to refer to the powers in this game, but that's something that, you know, you could have said superpowers, or I think in Paradigm Paradox we use superpowers as the term, but you know, there are different words, you know, you choose to localize them one way, and so you want to make sure that between Var Commons and Last Era, we're using the same words and things like that. And the Last Era team did not work on the original Var Commons, so some of them did play through. I think most of them tried to at least play a bit of Var Commons, but I was there to help provide the context on the game, and if in case anyone needed some help with something, we made sure that we all were on the same page at the game. And of course, as a fan disc, it's a direct sequel. There's a lot of continuity, and in this one, they, you know, because it's a sci-fi story, you have a lot of weird stuff going on to keep track of. So it's definitely interesting to see those two things coincide with one.
Yeah, so that's another thing I was thinking about, like the sci-fi aspect of the. Now, I know we talked about it before, and you said like this is one of the things you really like about Norn9, the aspect of it being sci-fi. It's homemade. It's not something that ends up happening all that often. So this is, although it is an old game, it's still like pretty novel in that respect.
Yeah.
How do you feel like when you're translating? How does that come across? Is that difficult for you? Like reaching, like, because I feel like at least in English, like that's where the most made up words are.
Yeah, true.
Like,
yeah.
So like, you know, you make up like spaceships and like, you know, and things that happen and like, you know, all of the stuff that happens in space, like all of the shows and stuff like that happen in space. That's the most amount of made up words you can possibly put in a show. Right. And then like now you have to translate it. So it's like, how did you feel like when you came across those words? Like, was it difficult for you to find translations? Were you like doing your best to relate, or like I don't know what that process is.
Oh, okay. Well, back to what I was saying about the terms. Yeah, that there aren't that many weird obscure terms, but coming up with the names for the different abilities, it's a bit of a fun time. You know, there are, for the most part, actual terms, like one for pyrokinetic, someone who uses flames. Hydrokinetic would be someone who uses water. I'm not gonna keep talking about them because we're getting into spoiler territory if we talk about the powers, but those are fun. But you know, again, the translation and editor teams did a really good job with those things, so I just made sure that they were in line with whatever terminology was used in Var Commons. One thing we had to think about is, you know, people have played Var Commons before, so whatever updates I was doing, I wanted to make sure that they wouldn't confuse people who maybe played the Vita version, aren't going to replay the Switch version, and maybe want to skip to Last Era. Like, we don't want to suddenly be throwing in terms or throwing in different ways of referring to people or these things that, you know, you have to keep that in consideration. So we didn't go crazy, change a bunch of stuff, but definitely made it a smoother experience.
That's interesting. I didn't think about that. Like, because you worked on Var Commons to work on Last, like a reference, and then you worked on, and then but there's gonna be
so everyone should definitely pick up Var Commons and play it again.
That's understandable, right? Like, for a lot of people that is the case. They're gonna jump back into the game for the first time. They're gonna own the game on a console that is playable, like or that they use consistently, I should say. Right. So that is an interesting thought that I didn't think. Want to keep it perspective of somebody who's back up. So.
Yeah, you don't want to suddenly, like, you know, if we don't like a term that was used, and like, okay, we're going to completely switch this term, unless it was wrong, like the snow, are we cutting? Oh no, Is it
Am I
just
cutting in
Sammy?
and out? Hopefully it's just me. Hopefully it's just me.
Uh,
I think yeah, this is
it's just
I
you.
know, sorry.
I cannot.
No,
I'll
no,
be the
no.
one talking this
No,
stream.
that's
I'm
fine.
taking over.
That's why you got that's why you have the good microphone.
Oh, is
Because
it?
yes, because we want you to hear you talk.
Okay.
They hear me talk each and every week. They're sick of me.
No, not at all. I already forgot what I was talking about. Oh, changing terms for new people. So if it's incorrect, like the snow to thunder thing, then we would of course fix it. But in terms of like if we just didn't, since I had the ability to spruce things up and thus make sure that Last Era was consistent with Var Commons, as a proofreader, you have your own style, right? So
Right.
sometimes I would sort of massage the Var Commons text a little bit so that when we went to Last Era, anything that I did wouldn't seem too different. Does that
Mhm.
make sense? So
No,
you want to
yeah.
you want to read both games and be like, this sounds like the same voice and we get the same feel. So I would massage it a bit, but you
Mhm.
don't want to change a term too drastically and have players be like, I have no idea what this is, if it doesn't
Right.
make sense to the players that skip Var Commons and go straight into Last Era, then you've done something I
Right.
thought. So
No,
we
that's
tried to do
true.
that.
No, it's a really interesting thing to think about that I don't think honestly I would have thought about at all myself, is that just jumping into it might throw you for a loop.
Yeah, it could be jarring. So we
Yeah.
made sure that it was not jarring for players of the V version as
Right.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's really nice is that because we get to do both at the same time, or Var Commons and Last Era at the same time, we are, for a lot of people, like, that warm-up might be, like, that warm-up is going to be fresh. I know, like, you watch, like, an anime and it gets, like, its next season, like, 7 years in advance. Yeah, you're just like, I don't even remember what happened in the first, right?
Yep.
So now, like, it's kind of,
Yeah, it's good.
subdued a little bit. At least you get to talk to people if you don't want to replay it, right?
Mhm.
That sort of thing.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, that's great. Did you what was like your favorite thing about working on this? I know this is like a new this was a different project for you, right?
Yeah.
So what's the new thing? What did you learn from this? Is there anything notable, like, afterwards, like after you got done with this?
Well, I really liked this game as a fan. I was really interested on working on something that, fans were really excited for. Like, of course, Paradigm Paradox, really fun game.
Right.
I wouldn't say there was as much hype around it because it's not like one of these long-standing favorites. Norn9 originally came out for PSP, I believe. Someone can correct me in chat if I'm incorrect, but I think it was PSP, then Vita, then Switch. So we have this long history and being able to be involved in a project that really has a big fan base already.
Right.
And people are really excited for the fan disc to finally come out in English. Like, having that involvement in such an exciting project was really great. Also, the fact that we got the 3 heroines, so you can see it from these different perspectives, and each one has like her own very unique voice. So it was really fun working on writing them and seeing their perspective on everything and their relationships with the different guys. I really like that aspect of it. And I'll be honest, I played some of it when it came out on Vita, but I had never played through the whole thing.
Right.
So actually seeing the whole game and then how it leads into the fan disc, which I think is a really good fan disc. Like, you get so many answers and background information on the characters that it's just 2 really fun projects to work on side by side. So I'm very excited for everybody to go play it, and yeah, definitely a favorite of mine.
Yeah, that's we talk about it. We talk about our favorite games pretty consistently. One of the pretty cool things about Otomes is that they don't get old. Right.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Yeah, they age well.
They generally age pretty darn well,
Yeah.
right? Like, you're almost never too late to play an Otome, which is really cool. You can't say that about a lot of genres. So
yeah.
I think that just getting a new fresh look at this, especially after playing like a bunch of other games, right? Like, your experience from the first release of Norn to now is like so different. You've played so many more games, like your expectations are different.
Yeah.
And it's like the fact that the game still like delivers for you is like kind of a pretty fresh feeling, right?
Yeah, for sure. It definitely still like holds up. It's not man, sometimes I go back and watch, you know, anime that I liked as a kid, and then you go back and you're like, ugh. I feel like otome games aren't quite like that. Like, you can still go back to older ones. Like, my favorite PSP games are still solid, and supporting them, I mean, that's showing how great they are. Like, yeah, they might update the visuals, like make them a bit crisper for the Switch or what have you, but in terms of the plot and everything, up, voice acting, course, and yeah, there's a lot
of good voice actors
about it. Yeah, definitely.
Is there anything else you want to say, like just specifically in general? Otherwise, we'll just get into it. But like, in case you want to. I
don't know. I hope everyone enjoys it. I'd be really interested to see if you've played the original English release, what your favorite changes are. I would like to know, you know, because
that'd be cool.
I'll be honest, you know, it's a little intimidating working on a game that's so beloved. I hope you all like it, and you know, be nice. This hard work. And I, you know, I'm sure that not, you know, there certainly, for example, in the original game, I think a lot of people didn't like how Koharu referred to people as Mr. First Name. Very interesting localization choice, because she has a very weird way of speaking. So she'd be like, Mr. Masamune. Masamune is his first name. So we changed that. I'm not sure that everyone will always be happy with those types of name changes, you know, but I would be curious to see what people think. I think I'm happy with it.
No, that's.
I'm sure you'll like it, Sammy. You're not allowed to say you don't.
Yeah,
like
I know,
it,
right? I know. I'm in the same room. But yeah, I think there's no way that I don't like this. It's just so hyped up. It has so much. It has so many great voice actors in it. I don't feel like I've ever been let down by the general otome community, to be honest. Like, anytime people know keep talking about it,
there's got to be good.
Like, I remember, like, before I was kind of late on Pio Fiore, even though it kind of got released as soon as I started working for Aksys. I didn't really like get into playing otomes consistently until way later after that. So then when I first came back around to Pio Fiore, I was like, people talk about Pio Fiore all the time, so like, you know, how good can it really be? And then like ends up being like, wow, pretty freaking good, right? So I don't feel like I feel like, generally speaking, like, you know, when games are good, games are pretty good.
There, you've heard it first. When games are good, they're good.
Hey,
Sammy.
Look at that. Honestly, like, back of the box, like
slap it on the box.
Back of the box stuff right there.
Well, no, I'm glad to hear that. I think, the otome fans, they know their stuff, and when people are talking a lot about a game, then I'm like, well, I gotta check that out. I haven't already.